Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're having a discussion about archives you can find in the US with Eva Hussain, Polaron's director and founder. How are you today, Eva?
Pretty good, and we're back. We haven't done one of the sessions in a while, Stephanie, so I'm very excited to be back.
That's great. And do you want to show us the US archives today?
Yeah, so we've covered in the past the Australian archives and the British archives. So today we're going to focus on a couple of archives which are quite specific to the US. One of them is the National Archives of the United States, which is a very comprehensive database of many records. And the other one is the Ellis Island Foundation. So most people that came to Ellis Island, or to America, I should say, came by Ellis Island. So you can find really good records there. So let us get started. And I'll share my screen, Stephanie, with you and everybody that's watching. And essentially, we're going to go to the National Archives first. The first thing I should say is that there is a backlog of archival requests. So what I'm going to show you is what's available online, but I should warn you that if you want certified copies of any of the records that I'm going to be showing you, it's actually quite difficult at the moment. So the archives are a little bit bottlenecked because during COVID, they were basically closed for many weeks. So I think at the moment, the waiting time for some records is like 9 months or something like that.
Wow.
But nevertheless, I'll show you what I know of it and what you can find yourself. So this website is archives.gov, as you can see here. And it houses lots of very interesting resources, including America's founding documents. You can plan a trip to one of the museum or presidential libraries. And they also do have lots of initiatives like webinars. And, there's at the moment, actually, there's a Polish Heritage Month, and they also have Hispanic Heritage Month. So there's lots of interesting initiatives if you wanted to explore it. It's a really a comprehensive website that's got everything from military records to, the Constitution, things like that. So if you're looking for information about your family, what you do is you go to archives.gov. First, let me tell you a bit more about the archives themselves. So it's an institution that was established in 1934 by President Roosevelt. It has holdings or resources that date back to 1775, so centuries. And in terms of what is available and how these records are preserved, you can read about all of that. But for example, they have 40 million aerial photographs and 563,000 reels of motion pictures. A million videos and sound recordings. Massive. So in fact, what they have is 1.323 terabytes of electronic data. And that's how we keep records nowadays. But of course, everything initially was on paper, and all of that's available here too. On their website, you can also read about the history and what specifically they have. And there's a lot. They have a blog, they have seminars, there's museums. If you have time, you can go into a rabbit hole that the National Archives is and spend hours and hours, if not days and days in there. But if your family immigrated to the US, you can find your family records. So this is what we're going to be doing next, Stephanie. And I have put a pretty common surname, Goldberg, just to show you what's available and what we can find. So there is, on the left here, you can see how you can refine the data. You can pick location, you can, if you know where the records are kept, you can pick the kind of record or group and also dates. But what I did is I just typed a surname into the search bar just to show you what you can potentially find. And we found 445 different records or results in 11 seconds. Yeah. But you can, of course, refine it and be more specific about what you're looking for. We ended up, Stephanie and everyone else that's watching, with 23 pages, so a lot, yeah? And there are things like photos, as you can see here, but also, which is what our clients mostly look for, petition for naturalization. So let's go and have a look at one of them. So you will get scans depending on what what year range we're looking at. You will get a scan of the document. It's just a bit slow to open. And whilst that's doing that, so I'll show you there are lots of other petitions for naturalization ranging in years. So this one, for example, is 1913. So all of these documents are there. So these documents are not just the naturalization certificate, but it's the actual petition. And normally for our clients, when we apply for this, we have to wait for those 9 months that I've just mentioned. Yeah. Okay. But in here, you can actually see, let me see if I can make it a bit bigger. There we go. Aha. Okay. What can we see? So you can scroll through this and they're high quality scans. So in this case, it's an oath of allegiance that Benjamin, can't quite read the surname, made in 1920. So 20th of December 1920. And it's Benjamin Stanford. Okay, that's the surname. I don't know why he's come up when we typed in Goldberg. Aha, because Mr. Goldberg looks like he's the examiner of naturalization, maybe. Okay, so this person that was naturalized appeared in front of Mr. Goldberg. So here you can see names of witnesses, if any, and there's information about the wife who was deceased at that point. And there are several pages here, as you can see. So let's have a look. And again, we can make it bigger. What can we learn about? No, I was completely wrong about everything that I've said. So it is about Louis Goldberg, who got naturalized, and that's the petition. So Mr. Louis Goldberg, what do we know about him? He was born 16th of July, 1898, and he lived in Boston at the time that he was being naturalized, and he was a student. He was born in Russia, and arrived through New York, through Ellis Island, which I will show you shortly, on the 25th of August, what year? 1911, okay, on the vessel called Adriatic, not married, and
it's so detailed. There's so much information.
Absolutely. And this is just one. Sometimes there are pages and pages of information. So I'll show you what that says. So this is in case some people were denied. So there'll be a court order denying the petition, but he was not denied. So let's have a look at this one. This is for somebody else, obviously. Let me just make it even bigger so that we can see. And this one is Abraham Goldberg, who was a salesman, and he was 20 at the time of naturalizing. And this person comes from Poland, but can you see how it says Poland, Russia? At that time, and I will just see what year this was, there was no, in 1913, there was no Poland on the map. And the other interesting thing that you'll find on a lot of those documents is that names of places have been misspelled. So we don't know what Yasov is. We would have to work out, but they were often spelled phonetically. However, he was born there in 18. Let's see, it's a bit 4th of September. I think that says 1904 potentially. And he came by England, by Liverpool, on a vessel Francinia, I think that says, yeah. And prior to that, you see his citizenship is listed here. So even though there was no Republic of Poland at the time, they listed it as a country that didn't kind of exist on the map, yeah. Okay, and that happened in 1913. What else can we know about this lovely gentleman? Okay, sometimes things like, spouses, families. Okay, so this is 1927. So in fact, the Republic of Poland did exist at the time. That's why, so at the time of his birth, there was no Poland. In 1927, when this document is dated, there was Poland. That's why they listed it there. And there's one more document here. And, you know, some of the endearing or interesting things would be things like people's signatures or further information. Sometimes this is very comprehensive. So, and, you know, like I said, there's 23 pages. If your surname happens to be Goldberg or anything else for that matter, you can really dig in and have a look at what's available here. Yeah. And again, as I said earlier, not everything's digitalized, and it depends on what year people were naturalized, because US has strict privacy policies. So documents that are less than 100 years old are not normally digitalized, but you can request them. They will have them. All right, so I would encourage everybody whose family immigrated to the US to have a really good look in case information documentation is here. You might need to be a bit creative. You know, Goldberg is a name that is not easy to, it's you know, you wouldn't misspell that, but sometimes places, people's surnames are incorrect. So you can search phonetically. There's all kinds of things that you can do to make that search easier. The next thing I wanted to cover, Stephanie, is Statue of Liberty. So it's obviously synonymous with New York and with the US. It's a gift that the French government donated to the US government, and it's quite a landmark. And the reason that I wanted to cover that is that through Ellis Island, that's how people came through to the US. So if you're looking for arrival documents of your family, this is where you can find it. So statueofliberty.org is the website, this one here. And it does have a function where you can search, excuse me, for passengers. So again, we're looking for somebody called Goldberg, and there are many records, of course, you know, millions, in fact, of records. And they do have this nifty wizard that you can use to narrow your search. So, for example, you could pick the gender and say that they were married. The other thing you can do is focus on the year of arrival. So let's say we wanted to do 1904 to 1945. You can also look at the age of arrival and event date if you know it. And you can, in here, enter information about port of departure or ethnicity even, things like that. So let's have a look what this yields. It yields nothing because I've narrowed it down too much. So we'll go to this one that was the first one who arrived in 1853. And the really good thing about it is that you can actually see these records. You don't have to purchase them. You can purchase like a high resolution image of it. So you can see somewhere in here that Goldberg's will be listed. But you can also download this document, which I'll do. So that we can see. Yeah.
Perfect.
Excellent. So we can go up and see if we can see a Goldberg.
Yeah, it looks. Oh no.
Here we go.
Goldberg.
Okay. So you have three. So you have Dealer, Feder, and Marianne Goldberg. And sometimes on this passenger list, you get a lot more information. You might get passport numbers, nationality, ethnicity, you know, place of birth, citizenship even. You also will get information about who they're coming to see, because people were often sponsored. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen because it'll go funny again, and I'll go back here. So in any case, in here, you can search and find, so I'm just going to clear that so that we have a clear, okay, we're going back to Goldberg's, and here you can do it sounds like, if you're not very clear about how the name was spelled. You can also bring up close matches or exact matches, and they'll also suggest spellings for you. Yeah, it's a very rich database of a lot of records, and you know, it's free, and you will be able to find your family provided they came through Ellis Island. So again, National Archives of the US, archives.gov, and then Statue of Liberty, and you can then go to passenger search, and in here you can map out your ancestors as they came to the US and were entered on these logs, on these passenger lists, and we often use these records in our work to understand how people arrived, where they've come from, where they settled, etc. So it's an amazing resource. Both of them are really great, and we encourage people to use them.
Yes, thank you so much, Eva, for showing everyone watching today.
And thank you for your help. Thanks for your help, Stephanie. Thanks.
And just a reminder to everyone to please subscribe to our Facebook page and YouTube channel, because we upload lots of helpful content every week. Thank you.